Welcome back to my channel. How is the body today? I hope you are doing good. If you are new to my channel, I'm Vera, but you can call me V, and I share amazing stories. And so if this is something you will love, please subscribe and like this video, and don't forget to turn on the notifications so that when I post, you'll be notified immediately. Today's shout out goes to Tracy Prince T9X, Yama Inji MD9VB, and Mrs. Aguda. They were the first people to comment on my last video. Thank you so much for the support, babes. You know I love you. And now relax, get comfortable, and let's get right into it. It was a Thursday night, exactly 1 week before my sister's wedding. I was in my room, half asleep, when my ringtone started playing. I frowned. Dinah was calling. That wasn't normal. Dinah doesn't call late. She's the kind of person who sleeps with her phone on silent at 9 p.m. But that night, it was 11:47 p.m. Hello, I answered, sitting up in bed. I expected to hear a usual teasing voice. Have you picked out your dress for my big day? Or are you still waiting for Holy Spirit inspiration? But what I heard instead made my heart drop. Her breathing, it was heavy, fast, like she was running. Dinah, I said, standing now, pacing. What is wrong? There was a pause. And then she whispered, if I don't make it back. Dinah, I cut in. What are you talking about? Where are you? What is going on? She tried to speak, but her voice cracked. She sounded like someone who was hiding, or running, or both. There was a rustling sound in the background, like she was ducking behind something. Then I heard footsteps and voices, male voices. My heart was now racing. I pressed the phone closer to my ear. Dinah, please talk to me. What is going on? I whispered, scared to even raise my voice. Then she said something I will never forget. Don't trust anyone. Please, just know that. And if anything happens... Suddenly, I heard a gasp. There was a loud sound, like the phone hit the ground. Then, silence, and the line went dead. I called back immediately. No answer. I called again. Still nothing. For the next hour, I called non-stop. I messaged her on WhatsApp, texted, left voicemails, nothing. I didn't sleep at all that night. I kept checking the clock. 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 4:30 a.m. I tried to convince myself she was fine. Maybe a battery died. Maybe she just panicked over wedding stress. But something in my spirit knew. Something was terribly wrong. By 6 a.m., I was knocking on my parents' bedroom door. Something is wrong with Dinah, I said, trembling. She called me last night, and I think someone was after her. My dad's eyes widened. My mom sat up immediately. Where is she now? She asked. We tried a number again. Still nothing. By 9 a.m., my mother had tried Dinah's number over 30 times. Still off. She tried to convince herself it was nothing. She probably slept at a friend's place. Maybe her phone died. But her voice didn't sound sure. And my father, he didn't say a word. He just paced the living room, phone in hand, eyes hard. I texted Dinah on every app. I sent voice notes. I begged her to reply. It was like she had vanished into the air. We called her fiancé, John. He picked up on the second ring. His voice was low and strange. He said she left my house last night around 9. We argued about something. She stormed out. I thought she went home. What did you argue about? I asked. There was a pause. Then he said, it was nothing serious, just wedding stress. You know how brides get. I didn't say anything, but I felt it in my chest. Something about his voice didn't sit right with me. My dad told him to come to the police station. He agreed. That was the moment my mother dropped to her knees. She started praying out loud, weeping, begging God to bring her first daughter home. I just sat there, numb. You see, Dinah wasn't the kind of person who disappeared. She was responsible, predictable, safe. She had a routine for everything. What time she ate, where she shopped, who she spoke to. Even when she was upset, she would at least text. She would never ever make us worry like this. which is why by 9:30 a.m., we were at the police station filing a missing person report. I will never forget the look on the officer's face when we told him the story. He nodded and wrote everything down. Then he asked us for a recent photo. My mom scrolled through a gallery, hands shaking, and showed him a picture of Dinah in a bridal shower outfit, smiling with her hand over her mouth like she was laughing. That smile broke me. The officer promised they would start with nearby hospitals, check CCTV, and track her last location using her phone records. Meanwhile, my dad called some of his friends. I called Sandra, her best friend. Sandra picked up, sounding groggy. Dinah is missing, I said. She was quiet for a second. Then she gasped. Wait, what? Since when? I told her everything. The call, the silence, the argument with John. She claimed she hadn't spoken to Dinah in 2 days. She said she would help look. But again, something about her voice felt off too. Too calm. By noon, the entire house was upside down. Cousins started arriving. Church people came to pray. Neighbors stood outside whispering. It was real now. My sister was missing. No one had seen her, no messages, no updates. And John, he came to the house in the evening, looking like he had just come from the gym. I just don't know what happened, he said, shaking his head. She was fine when she left. Maybe she went to clear her head. Clear her head. Still, the police said we had to wait 24 to 48 hours before opening a full investigation. That is the rule, they said. But rules don't help you sleep when your sister is missing. That night, I laid in bed, staring at the ceiling, tears soaking my pillow. I knew something was wrong. I could feel it. She didn't just leave. By the third day, the fear in our house had turned into something darker, dread. My mom wasn't sleeping. My dad barely spoke. And I kept checking the gate every 5 minutes, hoping Dinah would walk through it like nothing happened. But she never did. That was when the police started taking it more seriously. They came to the house and asked more questions, took her toothbrush for DNA, checked her phone records, and collected CCTV footage from our area. Then they said something that gave us hope. We are going to search her fiance's house. At first, my dad hesitated. He didn't want to believe that John, our soon-to-be son-in-law, would ever hurt Dinah. But I didn't argue, because deep down, something about him had always felt off to me. The way he kept saying she probably just needed space, even though she hadn't called in days. The way he comforted my mom, but never cried himself. The way he kept looking at his phone, like he was waiting for a message that never came. So when the police knocked on his door with a warrant, I was quietly relieved. John acted surprised, but he let them in. They searched everywhere, the bedroom, the kitchen, even the boot of his car. At first, they found nothing. But then in his closet, in the far back, inside a box of folded clothes, they found a white shirt, stuffed under 2 pairs of jeans. It was stained, blood. One of the officers picked it up with gloves. Another took pictures. John's face turned pale. He started talking fast. I don't know how that got there. That is not mine. Wait, it is. But the blood, I don't know how. Maybe she had a nosebleed or something that day. It was stammering. But no one was listening anymore. That shirt was bagged and taken straight to the lab. When the results came back 2 days later, the whole family was called into the station. I sat beside my parents, shaking, heart pounding. The officer cleared his throat and said, "The blood on the shirt belongs to Dinah." My mom let out a scream I will never forget. She slid up the chair, held her head, and wailed. My father stood up slowly. It looked like someone had raped the floor from beneath him. As for me, I just sat there, frozen. My chest was tight. My hands were sweating. Blood. In his closet. Dinah's blood. The officer turned to John. His voice was flat. "Can you explain how your missing fiance's blood ended up on your shirt, hidden in your closet?" John opened his mouth. Nothing came out. Then finally he said, I don't know. Maybe it is a mistake. Maybe someone planted it. Planted it. That was the first time I saw real panic in his eyes. The police took him aside for questioning. They didn't arrest him that day, but the look on everyone's face had changed. The officers, the neighbors, even some of his friends. Everyone was starting to believe the same thing. That Diana didn't just go missing. Something happened that night, and John knew more than he was saying. Word started spreading fast. Whispers in the market, murmurs in church, side eyes from people who used to admire their perfect relationship. And just when things couldn't get worse, another bombshell dropped. One that made the entire story take an unexpected dirty turn. It began with whispers, soft talk. At first, I didn't pay attention. People gossip all the time when tragedy happens. But this one hit a nerve. Someone said, "Have you heard? Sandra is pregnant." Sandra, Dinah's best friend, is bridesmaid, a ride or die since university. The girl who helped them pick a wedding dress. The one who knew every single detail of the ceremony and her secrets. Pregnant. By who? They said it is John's baby. At first, I laughed out loud. It felt ridiculous. Sandra, of all people. But then I remembered she hadn't visited us once since Dinah went missing. She hadn't called, hadn't posted any tributes, not even a text to check on me or my mom or anyone in the family. That didn't sit right. So I asked around. My cousin said she saw Sandra a week ago at the pharmacy buying prenatal vitamins. Another girl from church said Sandra left a choir group with no explanation. And when I tried calling her phone, it rang out, then stopped going through. I sent a WhatsApp message, one tick, no reply. Then someone from our estate, someone who always knew people's business, called my mom and said, "I don't want to say too much, but Sandra's family is hiding her. There is shame involved, serious shame." That is when it all clicked. The rumor wasn't just a rumor anymore. It was the truth. Sandra was pregnant and the baby was Jones, Dinah's fiancé. I felt like I was going to throw up. I sat on the floor of my room, holding my chest, trying to breathe. I couldn't believe it. I didn't want to believe it. But how could I not? It explained everything. As she found out before the wedding, as she confronted them, is that why she ran that night? Why she sounded so scared? Why she told me not to trust anyone? And then another theory started forming in people's mouths. Maybe they both planned it. Maybe Sandra and John killed Dinah so they could be together. Maybe that is why her blood was found in his house. It sounded wild. But when you mix a missing woman, a cheating fiancé, and a pregnant best friend, the imagination runs wild. And what made it worse, Sandra didn't deny it. She didn't post. She didn't show her face. She didn't come outside. She hid. And in that silence, the story wrote itself. The whole neighborhood began to believe it. John was now the cheating killer. Sandra was the evil side chick who wanted the throne. And Dinah, the innocent bride who trusted the wrong people and paid the price. My parents were shattered. My mom couldn't even say Sandra's name anymore. My dad kept saying, "How could they do this to her? How could they look us in the eye?" As for me, I wasn't even angry. I was numb. One part of me still hoped Dinah would show up and tell us it was all a mistake. Because if Sandra was really pregnant and John really lied about everything, then maybe this wasn't just betrayal. Maybe it was murder. By the time a full month had passed, Dinah was still missing. There were no leads, no updates, just the blood-stained shirt in John's closet and the whispers about Sandra's pregnancy. Then one morning, we got a call. John had been arrested. It wasn't a soft, quiet pickup. It was loud, public. Police came to his office and cuffed him in front of his staff and walked him out like a criminal. And for the first time since Dinah disappeared, I felt a small flicker of something, hope. Maybe this meant justice was coming. Maybe we were finally going to get answers. And John, he didn't go down quietly. He screamed as they pushed him into the police van. "I am innocent. I didn't kill Dinah." It was chaos. People who once praised their love story were now dragging them in the mud. John's business partners started distancing themselves, and Sandra, she finally resurfaced to defend him. She came out looking pale, exhausted, and visibly pregnant. The only word she said was, John is not a murderer, he's been framed. Dinah was stressed before the wedding. Maybe she ran away. Nobody believed her. Her family, they disowned her. I heard her father kicked her out of the house. Friends blocked her. Nobody wanted to be associated with the Jezebel who destroyed her friend's life. As for John, he sat in jail, waiting for his court hearing, still shouting the same thing. I didn't do it. I loved Dinah. I was going to marry her. But love doesn't explain blood in your closet. The investigators were still trying to build a case, but without a body, things were moving slowly. Still, in the court of public opinion, he was already guilty. Both of them were. I remember walking to the market one day and hearing two women whisper as I passed, "That is her, the sister. God have mercy on their family." It felt like our entire world had been stained. Dinah was gone. John was in prison. Sandra was disgraced. And me, I was stuck in the middle of a story that didn't make sense. I still didn't know exactly what happened that night, why Dinah ran, what she found out, what she saw. And I still wasn't ready for what came next. A year passed, 365 days, and not even a shadow of Dinah. No call, no message, no sighting, nobody. The police still called it an open investigation, but I could see it in their eyes. They had nothing left to go on. John was still in prison. Sandra had vanished completely, but Dinah, she was still gone. And it was the not knowing that broke us. Every day felt like torture. One moment, I would convince myself she was alive, maybe hiding somewhere, starting over. The next, I would imagine the worst, that her body was lying somewhere cold and forgotten, that we would never find her. My mom cried herself to sleep most nights. Her eyes look older, her body thinner. She stopped going to church, stopped cooking, stopped singing her morning prayers. My dad aged in fast forward. He hardly smiled anymore. He started forgetting things. He kept Dinah's picture beside his Bible, like he was trying to keep her spirit close. As for me, I lived in limbo. I tried to be strong for them. But some days, I would lock myself in my room and just scream into my pillow. I missed them so much, it physically hurts. I still kept her contact saved. Still messaged her sometimes. Where are you? I'm sorry I couldn't protect you. Then, on the 1 year anniversary of her disappearance, my father made a decision. We are holding a service. At first, my mom resisted. She said, how can we bury someone whose body we haven't seen? What if she walks through that gate tomorrow? But I think deep down, she knew Dinah wasn't coming back, and neither were the answers. So we planned a small memorial, just close family, neighbors, and church friends. I wore black for the first time since it happened. It felt wrong, like I was giving up. The church was quiet that morning, no music, no dancing, just pictures of Dinah in a white bridal dress, smiling like she had the whole world ahead of her. People got up and spoke. My uncle said she was too pure for this world. My cousin read a poem. My dad just stood silently with tears running down his face. And then it was my turn. I walked up to the front, clutching the microphone. My hands were shaking. I don't have the right words, I began, because this doesn't feel real. Dinah wasn't just my sister. She was my friend, my protector, my mirror. And now, she's just gone. No goodbye, no answers, just silence. And wherever she is, dead or alive, I pray she has peace. Because we have been living in pain every day without her. Then I broke down crying. I don't even remember who came to take the mic for me. I just remember collapsing into someone's arms, gasping for air. My mom collapsed too, right there in the front row. She fainted from exhaustion and grief. People rushed to her side, fanning her, pouring water on her. It was chaos. We didn't have a coffin. We didn't have ashes. We just had a framed photo and a hole in our heart so wide it swallowed everything else. That night, I sat alone in Dinah's room. I ran my fingers across her perfume bottles, her favorite earrings. Everything was still there, like she would walk in any minute and scold me for touching her things. But she didn't walk in. She never did. And as I curled up on her bed, I whispered the same questions I had asked 1,000 times. Where did you go? Did you suffer? Were you scared? Are you still alive somewhere? Or did someone silence you forever? I got no answers. But what I didn't know was that 5 years later, I will get all the answers, every single one, and they will shake me to my core. 5 years. That is how long it had been since Dinah vanished. Since the night she called me Ify. Since her blood was found in John's closet. Since we buried an empty coffin and tried to move on with our lives. Everyone else eventually did. John stayed in prison, waiting for trial. Sandra disappeared from public life completely. My parents aged 10 years in 5. They stopped talking about Dinah, not because they forgot, but because the pain was too deep and too raw. But me, I never stopped looking. I searched faces in every crowd. I followed every rumor. And then one day, out of nowhere, life took me to Ghana. I had gotten a job transfer, short-term contract work, nothing special. Just 2 months in Accra with a development firm. I saw it as a chance to breathe, to be away from the constant memory of Dinah back home. It was my second weekday, a hot, dry Tuesday afternoon. Traffic was madness. I was stuck in a taxi at a circle roundabout, horns blaring, driver shouting, the usual chaos. My shirt was sticking to my back. I remember wiping sweat off my forehead, looking outside the window, just waiting for the cars to crawl forward. Then I saw her. A woman in sunglasses, standing by the roadside, buying roasted corn from a street vendor. There was something about the way she stood, the shape of her lips, her smile when she handed over cash. My heart skipped. I leaned forward in my seat, squinting through the sun. She turned her head slightly, and in that moment, I knew. It was her. It was Dinah. Alive, right there, 5 years later. I screamed, Dinah! She froze. The counselor paused, confused. Her head turned sharply in my direction. Even with the sunglasses, I saw it. Recognition. I screamed again. Dinah, it is me. Stop, please. And then she ran. She dropped the corn, turned and bolted. I didn't even think. I threw money at the driver and jumped out of the taxi, dodging motorbikes and screaming drivers. Dinah, stop. People turned, some watched, but I ran after her, down the dusty pavements, through the noise on the streets like none of it mattered. All I saw was her, the sister I thought I had lost, the sister we buried in tears, alive, running from me. Why? Why was she hiding? Why was she afraid? Why did she look me in the eye and flee? I chased her through a narrow alleyway behind a row of shops, but by the time I turned the corner, she was gone. My chest was burning, my knees were weak, tears blurred my vision, but I knew what I saw. I knew who she was. I wasn't crazy. Dinah was alive, and now I had a new mission: find her and make her tell me the truth, because whatever she was running from, it wasn't me. I didn't sleep that night. After I saw her in traffic, after she ran, I went back to my apartment shaking. I couldn't think, couldn't breathe. I kept replaying it, her face, the way she ran like she was running for her life. Dinah was alive, but she didn't want me to find her, and that broke me. I spent the next day searching, asking around. I went back to the same counselor and showed him an old photo of Dinah. Did she come here often? I asked. He looked closely, then nodded. She lives not far, works at a tailor shop down the road. Quiet girl, doesn't talk much. I nearly cried. I followed his directions until I reached a small tailoring shop. And there she was, inside, behind a table, sewing. Dinah. Her hair was shorter. She wore plain clothes, but it was her. I opened the door. She looked up and froze. We stared at each other for what felt like forever. She stood up slowly, eyes wide. Please, I said, my voice shaking, don't run. She didn't, but she looked like she wanted to. I don't know you, she whispered, her voice cracked. Dinah, it is me, I said. It is me, your sister. Her eyes rolled up instantly, and then her whole body shook. She looked down, clutched her sewing tape, and whispered, You shouldn't have come. I walked forward, barely breathing. I thought you were dead. We buried you. We cried every night. Mommy collapsed at your memorial. Dad stopped living. I know, she said, barely audible. I know, I'm sorry. Her lips trembled. She sat down suddenly, like her knees gave way. I dropped into the chair across from her. My heart was pounding so loud I could hear it. She stared at the floor for a long time. Then she whispered, I didn't die. I disappeared on purpose. What? I didn't speak. I couldn't. I was shaking. She looked up at me, her eyes red. I had to go. I had to disappear. I couldn't marry him. I couldn't confront Sandra. I couldn't be that girl. What happened? I choked out. Why? Why like this? Why make us think you were dead? She wiped her face. Because no one would have believed me. Not you, not mom, not even myself. The night I called you, I had just found out Sandra was pregnant with John's child, my best friend. Tears rolled down her cheeks. I confronted him. He didn't deny it. He said he loved me and that she was just a mistake. Can you imagine? A mistake. And she wasn't even sorry. She told me I wasn't woman enough to keep my own man. I clenched my fists. Dinah continued. I lost it. I screamed. I cried. I slapped him. Then he pushed me hard. I hit my head on the table corner. There was blood. He panicked. She was there too, Sandra. She screamed that I was dead, but I wasn't. I was dizzy. I was bleeding, but alive. She paused. I heard them arguing. She said, Let us make you look like she disappeared. Nobody will find her. We will say she stormed out after the fight. I stayed still. I pretended I had passed out completely. Oh my God, I whispered. When John left the room to get a cloth or something, I crawled out through the back door, barefoot, bleeding. I got into a taxi and vanished. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. You never told anyone. She shook her head. I was too ashamed, too broken, and part of me wanted them to pay, to suffer, so I stayed gone. I let the world think what it wanted. Even as I whispered, even your family. I wanted to call so many times, but I knew once I did, someone would tell him or her. I couldn't take that chance. I needed to disappear, to start again. I started sobbing. Do you know what you put us through? We buried you, Dinah. We grieved. Mom nearly died. She burst into tears. I'm sorry, she said over and over. I am so sorry. I didn't know how to come back. I wanted to scream. I wanted to hug her. I wanted to shake her and cry and hold her forever. But all I could do was sit there because everything I thought I knew was now broken. I sat there for a long time, staring at her, my sister, the girl I grew up with, the one who used to braid my hair on Sundays, who held me when I cried after breakups. Now she was a stranger, and at the same time, she had never been clearer to me. I finally asked her through trembling lips, But why? Why not just leave Dinah? You could have just walked away, cancelled the wedding, told the truth, anything. Why all this? She looked at me deeply, like she had been waiting for that question. Then calmly she said, Because they needed to feel what I felt. I blinked. They needed to feel the betrayal, the heartbreak, the helplessness, the shame, all of it. Her voice didn't shake, her eyes didn't blink. They smiled in my face and stabbed me behind my back. Sandra, my best friend, hugged me the day after she slept with my fiancé. She helped me pick my wedding shoes. She wrote a toast. She joked about how much John loved me. She gritted her teeth. And John looked at my father in the eye, took his hand, promised to honor me, to cherish me. Meanwhile, she was sleeping with my maid of honor. She paused, her fingers clenched her knees tightly. And that day, They wanted me gone for real. They wanted me dead. I would have walked away. I could have. But I knew people like them. They would have twisted the story, said I overreacted, said it was a mistake, or just one night. It would have moved on, married her, and I would have been the bitter ex-fiancée who ran away from love. She leaned in. I didn't want justice. I wanted punishment. Hey! I wanted them to sit in their shame. I wanted John to rot in prison. I wanted Sandra to lose everything. I wanted them to wake up every morning, hunted by my name, to see my face in their dreams. I said at her, stand. I gave up my old life for this. She continued. I changed my name, started over. I lost my parents, my family, you. But it was worth it. What? Tears filled my eyes. You really mean that? I whispered. She nodded slowly, every second of it. I didn't know whether to hug her or run from her because what she did was cruel. And yet, a part of me, a dark angry part, understood. She paused, then looked me in the eyes. I never came back because I knew I would be arrested. There's no way anyone would believe it was just a plan. She wasn't wrong. I watched Sandra lie without blinking. And John, he cried in court, but he never admitted to anything. If I had retained, I would have been the one being dragged through the mud. She leaned back and whispered, so I stayed gone. And honestly, I have no regrets. I sat there speechless. She turned to me again, and this time her voice was steady, cold. They both destroyed my heart, so I destroyed their lives. And I would do it again. Hey! I didn't know what to say. I wanted to tell her that it wasn't right, that two wrongs didn't make a right, that she should have let the truth come out and walked away with her head high. But I couldn't. She stared into the darkness, eyes distant. The world doesn't protect women like me. It laughs when we cry. It says forgive him when he cheats. It says be mature when she betrays you. But nobody says get even. So I did for myself. I didn't ask her for more explanations. There was nothing else to say. I didn't know how to feel. My sister was alive. That should have been enough, but it wasn't. Because the woman who sat across from me in that small room in Accra, she wasn't the Dinah I remembered. That Dinah was gone. I hugged her tightly, like maybe if I held her long enough, I could bring back the girl I once knew. I cried, my tears soaked into her shirt as she stood there still, rubbing my back gently like a mother would a child. She didn't cry, not once. I hated what you did, I whispered. I hate it still. She nodded. I know. But I had it, my throat closing. I understand why you did it. She didn't respond to that. She didn't need to. Instead, she reached for a small brown envelope on her sewing table. She placed it in my hand. Give it to mom and dad, she said softly. I looked down. And what should I tell them? I asked. She stepped back, her eyes now cold again. Tell them Dinah is dead. Let her rest in peace. I shook my head, tears falling again. You are not dead. You are right here. She gave me a tired smile. No, I am someone else now. I am not here anymore. Then she did something that shattered me. She kissed my forehead, held my face in her hands, and whispered, this time, don't come looking. This is goodbye, my sister. Tell mom and dad that Dinah is gone forever. Let them grieve the memory, not the mistake. Please let me go in peace. She turned and walked back into a little shop. And just like that, I lost my sister a second time. John is still in prison. He appealed a sentence twice. But with Dinah's blood found in his closet and no other witness, the court upheld the decision. Sandra is still gone. Rumors say she fled the country after her own family rejected her. Some say she's hiding in Sierra Leone. No one knows for sure. All I know is my sister disappeared a week before her wedding. And when I finally found her, she wasn't my sister anymore. She was a stranger and she didn't want to be found. Hey, this story. Like, I don't know how to feel. Was what she did right? I don't know how to feel about this revenge. Let me hear your thoughts down below. But pretending to be dead whilst your family suffers because you want to pay your boyfriend and your best friend back. Was this revenge worth it? And John is still in prison, oh. Let me hear your thoughts down below. And I bet you know that this is a judgment-free zone. We listen, we don't judge. So please be kind to her in the comment section. And babe, if you've not subscribed yet, what are you waiting for, babe? Come now, please subscribe. Come and join the family. Subscribe and like this video. And don't forget to turn on the notifications so that when I post, you'll be notified immediately. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time. Okay, I'm done. Bye.